Hey you guys, it's Teresa and welcome back to my channel. Sorry this video is coming up a little late. Turns out that I was too zoomed into my face. But today we're going to be talking about my thoughts on this wonderful book that has kind of blown up everywhere on BookTube, and that is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Now, let's just kind of jump into it because I am still emotional from this book, which seems to have been happening lately because I just finished The Lunar Chronicles and I'm also emotional. So for those of you guys who don't know, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo follows two points of views. One of them is Evelyn as she retells her story as an old Hollywood actress, like old Hollywood glamming, kind of the things she had to do to keep her fame, her fortune, and all that, even at the expense of like other people's kind of like situations. As well as Monique Grant, the reporter or journalist who has been asked, or rather pushed into the situation to interview Evelyn to talk more about her life. And right now we're in a position where Monique is very downtrodden. She doesn't know where her life is going, essentially. So this is kind of her chance, once in a lifetime chance to like pick herself back up from the ashes of that is her life. Now, my first thoughts on this book was, one, the gorgeous cover. Why do I bother talking? The cover is gorgeous. It was giving me some major Marilyn Monroe vibes, only with like a green dress and like tanner skin. But I wasn't sure whether or not I wanted to read it. It sounded like a thriller just with like the title, but then I heard about the synopsis and I just really wasn't in the mood to hear about like old Hollywood glam and the nth amount of husbands that she has and blah 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 blah. But the more I heard about it, the more I heard that there was bisexual rep and more LGBT rep, as well as biracial rep. So I was like piquing my interest a little bit, and I think I forgot what finally did me in, but I just kind of like jumped the gun and was like, you know what, it can't hurt, and if I don't like the book, I'll at least have a pretty cover. Like, look at this. Like, it's not even that shiny, so I don't know why I'm like twitching it towards you, but like it's just really pretty. So yeah, I finally read it and like I can see why it's gotten so much hype. Now, I normally don't do this like kind of in my videos, at least for tea talks, but I figured that like this does cover some sensitive topics, so I might as well would like to warn you guys before my review somehow influences you to buy the book and you were not aware of the possible trigger warnings that are within this book. I wanted to put in a trigger warning for suicide, some as well as unhealthy eating habits that happened in the earlier stages of the book, abuse, mainly marital and spousal abuse, as well as some alcohol abuse. So if those are things that are a little sensitive for you in your life at the current moment, I would suggest to wait on picking up this book. But if you think you can handle it, just know that these topics are covered in this book, and to take things just a little bit slowly if necessary. I caved into buying a hydro flask, and I regret nothing. Now, as for things I did like, this was such a beautifully written book, you guys. You have no idea. The prose was so wonderfully done, and everything kind of like melted into one another and came to a nice like round conclusion at the end. And I absolutely adored reading this book. I read this book so quickly because it's not, I wouldn't say it's necessarily an easy read. It's a very complex kind of read where so many things are happening and you can't really like, if it were any other kind of book, you would need to digest it. But since this book happened the way it did, digesting it became very easy and very simple, and I didn't need to worry about like having to sit down and like figure out everything that was going on. So I also really enjoyed the like Evelyn's character. You can tell she struggled a lot throughout her life trying to figure out like what she wanted versus what her goals were in life, and how she like managed somehow magically to make the two come together, and all the things she did and all the sacrifices she made to make that said life. So I really like enjoyed it, as well as like the romance that Evelyn has with some of the characters. There was one in particular, which if you have read the book, you know which one I'm talking about. But this is a non-spoiler review, so we're just gonna leave it at non-spoiler. But the romance was such a slow burn. You knew it was gonna happen from the minute you've met them, just because their personalities seemed to work well together but also clash at the same time. So it was such a slow burn and it hurt so much, and the fact that it ended the way it ended, just like, oh, it hurts me so much, and you guys have no idea unless you have read the book, in which case I would really like to talk to you guys about this in the comments, because my friend that is currently reading it is still only just reading it, and I need to talk about this with someone. So Taylor Jenkins Reid also didn't shy away from things that were prevalent during the time, such as the homophobia, the sexism, the racism. There was none of that that had happened while she was writing this, while this book progressed. We got to see, I think there was one specific line, and it's not much of a spoiler because if you follow this time period or know about this time period, you know that this president was really shitty about the LGBTQ community, where she had mentioned that Reagan did absolutely nothing for them. He didn't believe that there was such a problem in the community, the whole thing with AIDS and whatnot. Reagan did nothing of that, and I love that she didn't shy away from that, because I feel like in old Hollywood glam, you get lost in the pretty lives and everything, but you forget about the actual people who had lived in it and all their struggles and what had happened in their lives because of this like presidential issue that was going on. So I also loved how Monique learned things, like so many things from Evelyn that she took into her own life. Like at some point, there were certain things, like I said, Monique is very downtrodden. She doesn't know where her life is going. She doesn't know how to fight for anything or how to stand up for herself at the current moment. But somehow, hearing about like Evelyn's stories and hearing about like how Evelyn had to deal with things, Monique somehow got the gusto and the strength to do the things that she needed to not only push herself forward as a human, but also push herself forward in her career and do things that fit in her line of work. There was even a very powerful line, I can't talk, in the book where it mentions how it's a line that I love, where it's like, you make sure that they pay you as much as a man would be paid. And I think that was so, like, I got goosebumps just saying that, and I got goosebumps reading that line. So I think that all the things that Evelyn had persevered and fought for became such a pivotal thing for Monique and for things that she had learned and things that she wanted to push on in her own life. So I think that was really good. Like the female empowerment in this book, whether it be subtle or blaringly obvious, was the best. Like I thought that there wasn't going to be a lot of it due to the fact that it is more Hollywood glam, more older like kind of things, and women were kind of more known for their bodies and everything, and like pleasing men, that there was an instance where I just like absolutely enjoyed the fact that there was so much female empowerment, and even like learning that females don't exist for the sake of a man and pleasuring a man. They are more than capable of that. So it was such a wonderful thing to see, especially like how Evelyn's lessons bled into Monique's life and how she used them. The bisexual rep in this movie, it read like a movie, but the bisexual rep in this book was so good. So good. Like a lot of it was also likened to kind of the biracial rep in this, where people will only pick and choose one of your identities. They will not accept both of you. They will only accept the white part or the African American part. They will accept the Cuban part and not the white part. Same thing with like the bisexuality in this part. You will, in this novel, I mean, you will see how like people only chose one half of this character to portray in the world. She was either straight and only liked men, or she was gay, and that was it. And I really loved how like you see people, both Monique and Evelyn, come to terms with the fact that they are biracial and bisexual. Only one of them is bisexual, and how there was a lot of push and pull for them to kind of come to terms with their own identity, and that was like so wonderful for me to have read. Now, this isn't much of a spoiler, but the ending wrecked me. Like I wasn't really expecting that kind of ending. I thought it was a very bittersweet ending, and I don't know that I would have had wanted it any differently, but at the same time, I was just so upset. I teared up a little bit because I believe I was in public when I finished the book, so I couldn't really cry. But it was just so good and so well thought out, and it didn't shy away from the fact that even with how things ended, Evelyn still did things on her terms. So I really enjoyed that part. And I'm sure that once I reread this book, I'm gonna find things that I didn't like or things that I struggled with. But at the same time, I can't think of anything. Like I have sat on this review for a long time, since I have finished it. I have gone through and read other people's reviews, and I can't seem to find something that I had missed that was kind of bugging me and didn't realize it, or that maybe something that had bugged me while I was reading. I did not get that at all in the slightest. But overall, I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. Would highly recommend. I think this book is really good. It's not YA, it's adult, just for those who don't really know. And nor is this a thriller. which I think the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo and like the cover and is a little misleading, just a smidgen. But it's not a thriller, it's an adult, I believe, romance novel, but it's also not romance. It's weird and I have to look up the genres, and I'm sure I'll put the genre somewhere on my face. Definitely enjoyed it. It was so complex but also so easy to like follow and understand. The characters were fleshed out from like the minor ones to the major ones. Even like the antagonists of the situation all fleshed out wonderfully in this book. The only thing that I think I would have loved to have seen is a lot more. Like I would have wanted to see the aftermath of everything that has happened and all that stuff. So other than that, loved it, would recommend it, and if you guys have read it and also loved it or hated it, let's chat about it in the comments. But that is it for my tea talk / review. I swear I'm going to have tea in my hand soon. It's just too warm outside, and the process of making iced tea takes a little longer than I would like. But that is it for my tea talk on The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. What did you guys end up thinking about the book? Your thoughts, your likes, your dislikes. I would love to have a polite discussion down below. But other than that, I try to upload every Saturday and Wednesday, unless something happens, like I'm too zoomed into my face and the book's like bisected, or I'm out of focus, which hasn't happened recently, but still. But if that does happen, you'll probably find out in my social media, preferably my Twitter. So just follow me at BookishTherese, and I'll see you guys in the next video on Wednesday. Until then, bye.